Let's do this. All right,
Let's do
Alissa.
it.
Welcome to my Roman Empire. That is the bonus chapters, Kingfisher's
This is
point of
it.
view.
This is the moment you've been waiting for since day 1 of the
Day one.
podcast.
Oh, man. I'm so
We're here.
excited. We are here.
I
We're
know
doing it.
you
We're
are.
pausing the rest of the chapters because we're getting into this episode for a very specific reason. And that reason is
Yep.
because they are releasing the audiobook version of this on July 1st.
Which I will say now, having finally read them, 1, I get it. 2, I'm so excited for the audiobook version of this.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful. I cannot
Yeah.
wait. It's going
Yeah.
to be
I'm
epic.
so excited.
The audiobook is going to be absolutely epic. I cannot wait. It is the same narrators as Quicksilver and What Brimstone will be as well, with Anthony Palmini and Stella Bloom. So it's very consistent across the board, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm so excited. And
Yeah.
the bonus chapters, they tell you so much. Like, I think there's other books that have come out that also have some bonus chapters, which are really, really awesome. But I don't think that those bonus chapters hold as much information and like foreshadowing and key details that these bonus chapters hold. Like, I think these bonus chapters are so special because they answer a ton of questions that we have. And they also
For
give
sure.
us a ton more new questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a lot of information you get. Not in a bad way, like, it's all things it gives you so much more of Kingfisher's side, and they aren't even all, like, in line with the story.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, a lot of them happen before the story even begins,
Mm-hmm.
but it still provides so much context into the story, which I think is great, and for the other characters too, like, for Renfis, for Danya, like, I feel like you get to know them better, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So before we get into it, if you have not read these bonus chapters, you may want to go read them before you listen to this episode because we're diving deep into them. And there is 3 chapters that we're going to cover. We're going to cover the gate, we're going to cover the maze, and then the fox, the boots, the dress. The fox boots dress, which is one chapter. The fox boots dress and the gate are both on Callie Hart's website, which we will link onto this episode's show notes. The maze is not on her website from what I could find. However, it is on Kindle Unlimited. If you are in the Quicksilver book and you go all the way to the end, there's bonus content and it is that chapter. So it's not
Um,
connected to her website.
what order did these come out, or what order did you read them in?
I read them in the gate first, part 1 and part 2, and then I read the fox, the boots, the dress, and then I read the maze because I hate to admit this, I'm a humble lady. I didn't realize that there was extra bonus content on the end of the book on the Kindle Unlimited because that bonus content is not in the paperback copy that I own.
Mhm.
Because I
Okay,
looked too. I was like looking through my book
that's
and I was like, there's no
interesting.
bonus content in here.
I wonder if
So
it's in the paperback release today, like a
I don't
later
know.
edition of it. Yeah, I don't know
Maybe.
either.
Or in like the hardcover. So it's possible. So if you guys have a
Yeah.
hardcover edition and you have that in there, maybe let us know. Because I'm just curious to find out. And then also it is interesting to know if you're looking at the audiobook that is coming out, like I've pre-ordered it, and it in
Mhm.
the description is only covering the gates part 1 and 2 and the fox, the boots, the dress. It's not covering the maze.
Oh, interesting.
From what I could see anyways in the description.
Hmm,
So
interesting.
yeah, I'm not sure why. I feel like the maze is like a little hidden gem that probably maybe not many people know about.
So I read The Maze first. I
Okay,
know.
which is
Like,
fine. I don't think it matters what order you read them in.
no,
Yeah.
I don't think it matters either. It's just interesting to me because that was the first one I read, and then I read The Gate, and then I read The Fox, the Boots, the Dress. So it's to me, like, crazy if The Maze isn't in there just because I read it first.
Right. And you're like, hold on, hold on. Yeah. So if
Yeah,
you're expecting the maze to be in the audiobook, lower your expectations because I don't want you to be disappointed. But from the description that I read, it's not in there. But it doesn't mean that it's not coming eventually. It
for
might.
sure. Yeah,
Or maybe,
yeah.
it is in there and they just didn't type it in there or something. And maybe it'll be a nice surprise.
Who knows?
But either
I'll
way,
be
you should go
happy with
read it
whatever
though.
we get.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
100%. Okay. Are you ready to jump in?
Are you ready?
I am so ready. Welcome to Goodish Girls. My name is Dallas. Let's do this.
My name is Alissa. Let's
Woo!
do it.
I'm so excited. Okay. All right. We are going to start with the gate part 1 and part 2 because that's like the meat of a lot of it. Those chapters are very long.
And I mean, I feel like if you were to ask me what would have been in the bonus chapters, this would have been my guess because
Mhm.
it's so important and I don't know. It would have been where I would have guessed we would have gone. So,
Agreed. No, I think it's a really good bonus chapter. I think it's very well written. Um and I think it gives us a lot of backstory again, like you said, to a lot of characters and some characters that are a part of it that we really didn't get to touch on at all in the book. So I have
mhm.
questions about them as well. So it does leave a lot of questions for Brimstone.
Yeah, I
So I
agree.
don't know. All
Also, the
right.
word brimstone is used a lot.
Okay. So when way back when I was like, I want to start a podcast, I was reading through everything and like starting to write episodes. And I obviously was like, the bonus chapters, I have to tell somebody about them. But when I was reading them and I was like typing and I was like, yeah, Brimstone, like, all right, all right. And then they announced the cover and I was like, hold on. There's for sure going to be dragons in this next book.
Yeah, the word brimstone is used.
A
I should have
lot.
counted today. Like for context, just read these a couple hours ago. Um, and I like kept and now knowing the title, of course, it stands out more. And I just like
Mhm.
kept seeing it and I was like, oh, this word's in here a lot.
Yeah, it's in there a ton. Like
Yeah.
brimstone everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was interesting when she did drop the title of book 2 to then connect that with the bonus chapters. It's almost like if you were in like a secret club. Like if you've read the bonus chapters, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I
if you're paying
agree.
attention, it's there. Yeah,
All right,
lots
let's
of
do it.
secret Easter eggs. Okay, so in the gate, part 1, it is the setting is before Kingfisher left, right? So the Lupo Proelia is together, the Wolfpack is together, and they are outside the Agen City gates. The gate itself is over 100 feet tall. So they're hanging out. Everyone is bantering, and in the whole Proelia is together. You have Renfis, right? You have Mirelle, which is Renfis's twin sister. Okay. You have
Mhm.
Danya, you have Corix, Foley, Vashtigan, and you have Lorth, who is the newest member, right? Because obviously Kingfisher saved him and then added him to the wolf pack once he climbed the mountain and gained a bunch of weight and got a foot taller, right? So
Yes.
lots of characters here. Some of them we hear about obviously in Quicksilver, some of them we do not. Some of
Yeah.
their fates are even in this chapter alone.
We did not hear about all of them though in Quicksilver, right? We didn't get names for all of them in Quicksilver.
We did not. No,
Yeah,
no.
I didn't
This
think
is the
so.
chapter where you get any of their names.
So Austin wanted to name our child Vash.
Oh my gosh, really? That's cute. It
Yeah,
would have been meant to be.
after a different Vash, but when I read it today, I was like, "Oh no." Like
Did
he's
you
gonna
tell
be
him?
so happy. Oh, I texted him. He wasn't home. I texted him and I said, uh, all I said was, "Oh God, there's a character named Vash," and he said 11 out of 10, no notes.
Yeah, it's bet. Yes,
Um, yeah.
agreed.
So
It's a
yeah,
good name, Vashkadan.
mm, not
I'm
for my
interested to see
child,
what he
but
sounds like.
sure.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
they'll. I don't think he has any like big
Does he say
lines
anything?
in the.
I
I don't
don't
think he maybe.
remember.
I don't think he says anything. Corks
Yeah, I can't remember.
speaks. Lorith does. Renfis, like all the. So we'll hear a new voice. We'll
Yeah.
hear Corks's voice, which is nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, so exciting. Okay,
Yeah.
so the pack is waiting at the gate. They're waiting for Death to arrive, right? And the Death is a dragon. It's like the biggest dragon. And he has many names and he's flying above them, but he flies in total silence because he's coasting. So you just have like this gigantic beast flying above them, right? Uh, so he has quite a few different names. He has Silent Death, which is like the main name that they call him, Old Blood, Grandfather Ash, the Drake, or Amnam Shakrai. And also, I want to note that I am dying to hear what this dragon sounds like in this in the
The way it
audio
speaks.
because he speaks to them,
Yeah.
and I cannot wait to hear what a dragon sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So they're outside the gate. Uh, they're kind of bantering it back and forth, like they're kind of messing around. Like Ren and Lorith are going back and forth, and Kingfisher's like, "Guys, be quiet, right?" And I want to know in this, when I went through this, there are so many quotes in here, so I'm going to be doing a lot of quoting from these chapters, just to make sure that we're getting the full effect of what we're breaking down here. So Kingfisher says, "I hear nothing at all. The wind had died. The feral snapping of jaws from further down the mountain had stopped. Everything felt wrong." The Quicksilver in Kingfisher, it speaks to him as if it always knows what's going to happen, right? So it's like, move, you must go, almost move, almost go, together, 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 go. Like it's panicking, right? So it always knows what's happening before it seems to happen, which is
Mhm.
interesting. And we do get a new perspective of how the Quicksilver works with Kingfisher in this bonus chapter because we're hearing it from his perspective. So he says, "As always, the rush of voices spoke only to me. I felt the vibration of the Quicksilver in my eye and knew it must be shifting. Once the restless movement of the metal had been uncomfortable, but I'd grown accustomed to it over the years." So I think this is really good to know as well because obviously in Quicksilver, Saris mentions what it's doing pretty much all the time.
Mhm.
Is it shaking? Is it moving? Is it still? Is it blown wide? So it's interesting to know that its movements are linked with whether or not it's messing with him.
Yeah, so I thought this was really interesting. One, the Quicksilver has so much personality in this bonus chapter, and you
Hmm.
learn so much about it. But two, that much to me, that says whenever it is like whirring in his eye, as Saris always says, that must mean it's when it's speaking to him.
Right.
That is very interesting. And then, like, I also think about the time it was like completely still.
Hmm. It was probably silent for the first time in forever.
Right. Right. Very interesting.
And me, I if I ever have the time to do so, I'd like to go back and look at all the times that it was doing something and what was happening in the moment to see whether or not
Mhm.
we think it was speaking to him or whether it was silent or what it was doing.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
So something fun to note. He also mentions that they had faced a dragon once before. So this is not the first time the pack has been with a dragon, right? So it says, "I once one dragon I'd faced before back when I was younger, a much smaller creature with iridescent blue scales. The fire that dam had breathed over the battlefield had been white hot and had burned warriors inside their armor, incinerating them where they stood. The fire this old drake produced was nothing of the sort. When he arched his spine neck, tucked his head, and unleashed his fury, molten lava and brimstone spewed from his jaws." And just like we had said previously, and I've been saying for a really long time outside of our podcast, if this does not tell you there are dragons in book 2, I don't know what will. And even
Yeah.
though in the bonus chapters it says that he is the last living dragon,
Yeah, but
but we know it's not true.
how many how many worlds are there where there's the last dragon and then
The
there's more
last dragon.
dragons?
No, there's
You
no
know?
way.
No.
Not the last dragon. There will be more.
But I also wouldn't mind pirates, so
Okay, yeah. So I have pirates, dragons, uh, others, lots of fun things. I can't wait.
yeah. Yeah.
So the dragon is obviously coasting. All hell starts breaking loose, right? So the pack is running. The goal is to get to the gate and protect the people of the Aegean city, right? So the Quicksilver is like, together, you must move together, all must go now. And Kingfisher does the opposite. He yells at the pack to separate, right? Instead of move together. Quicksilver's like, go together, together. And it's like, go the opposite directions. And this pisses the Quicksilver off. So it said, no, together, together, we said. And
Mhm.
I was like, at first I was like, what is happening? Right? Like, why is he doing the opposite? And Kingfisher knew the Quicksilver was attempting to use the pack as a shield for the horde of feeders that's also on the other side of the mountain and the Drake, which
Mhm.
I thought was wild.
I think it's interesting how protective the Quicksilver is over Kingfisher and truly cares not at all about anyone else. And
Right.
obviously, like, That's where it's, like, housed, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it is him,
that's right.
right? Like they're
But
one.
but there's no like, Kingfisher is his own person, but he still cares about others, whereas the Quicksilver is just, like you have mentioned before, completely selfish. It's like, "I don't
Mhm.
care." Like, use them as a shield. I
Right.
don't care. I'm protecting us.
Mhm. Sacrifice your whole
So,
family, it's fine.
yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? And it also
And
says
also,
what was that?
I was just gonna say also, like, how difficult would it be to be Fisher and have to dissect what the Quicksilver is saying to you? Whether,
Mhm.
like, be like, "Okay, is it trying to protect us here? Is it being selfish? Do I need to disregard this? Or is it helping here?" Because it does
Right.
seem to know what's gonna happen when it's gonna happen.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm sure it took him a very long time and a lot of
Yeah,
mistakes before he could really truly figure it out, but he's been with that Quicksilver since he was a kid.
right.
So, like, he's I'm sure he knows it very well by now, I would
Yeah,
think.
for sure.
And it's interesting because also it says the Quicksilver's like, "Why? Why did you separate? You are more important than most important."
Mhm.
So, very selfish.
Yes.
And I wondered if there's anyone that it won't attempt to sacrifice for survival,
Maybe that's something that will be answered in the next book.
right? Like, would it sacrifice Ceres?
I think so.
Like the alchemist, right? The one that can talk to it, can communicate with it. Would it even sacrifice her?
But now knowing that they have this mate bond, maybe
Mhm.
not.
Right. Is that the one person that it can't do that to?
Right. Maybe it's protective over her now.
It might be. So interesting. So again, they're running to the gate. They're trying to get it closed. Namshakrai bellows out that they are too late to get to the gate, which again, dragons talk to them in this. It's wild. I don't know if it's like talking out loud. I don't know if it's speaking into their minds. It doesn't really describe it. So I wasn't sure how I envisioned it. It just
I
opens
just
its mouth
love
and words come out.
I just love that Lorith is like, "Wait, it talks."
Right. That's what I
Hello?
said. Yes,
Yeah.
Lord. Agreed. I'm glad
Um,
somebody addressed the dragon in the room.
it's very Hobbit vibes. In The Hobbit, the dragons speak,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
which I think is interesting because I think a lot of, like, current day fantasy, romantasy, whatever,
Hmm.
the dragons are more animal-like and less being-like, like, they
Right.
don't speak.
Hmm.
So, I was excited about that.
Yeah. I'm
I thought it
glad
was
because I
cool.
think that it's nice to know a little bit of the backstory of the dragon as well, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
So it also notes that citizens they're running. They're running outside of the gates over to the mountain, right? So they're like, "Oh no, the dragon's coming. It's gonna incinerate us," basically. So their best shot, I guess, in their minds was to run away, but they were unaware of the horde of feeders, like 5,000 of them on the other side. So
right.
there's really nowhere to run. And in this bonus chapter, we learned something that's very interesting. So Fisher says many Fae who received the midnight kiss never woke from the slumber that came after. They died and that was it. But 1 in 5 did wake. So even if the feeders get you, right? There's 5 of you running, the feeders get all 5 of you. Only one of you is going to wake up and be part of that horde,
Which means how many people have they killed?
right? To have 5,000.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And they say too, like, that's not all of them.
Yeah, that's like maybe a quarter, if not almost half of what Malcolm
Right,
has as an army.
right.
It's a ton of people.
Yeah,
Ugh. So as they're
yeah.
making it to the gate, Kingfisher uses his shadows and wraps them around the Drake. So he conjures hooks and shackles and wraps, and they go right all around his legs. And he puts a shadow spear right through the wing, pinning him to the ground. Again, his conjuring skills are incredible.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. He just literally was like thinking about it. He's like hooks and spears, and then here they are, they're appearing, right? So
Mhm.
as he's pinned to the ground, he's telling Fisher, like, it doesn't matter because the gate is still open and you can't close it. only the fire sprites, we learned, can close this gate because it was designed to keep out any abominations and also other fae who might tamper with it. So it's completely made of iron, which is really, really dangerous to pretty much anyone except for fire sprites. So it says no fae, including the king, could touch it without consequences. And the gate is closed at all times of the year except for once a year during the Mayhalen festival. They keep the gate open for 5 days to let in the goodness and let out the bad spirits. Which Kingfisher's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I
But,
agree. Stupid.
and at first I was like, yes, but it seems like a stupid idea, but they have had the biggest dragon, the only dragon in the realm, protecting this for a really long time. They've had an agreement with this dragon. I would
Right.
leave my doors unlocked if a giant dragon was protecting my front yard, right? And how would they ever
Yeah.
have guessed that that dragon would break the deal?
Yeah.
You know, you got a huge guard dog outside. No one's going to come in your front lawn. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, my bad. Sorry." Right? So no one expects the guard dog to turn on the family, I guess, if that makes sense. So I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that they were like, "Oh, let's leave our gates open like for 5 days. It's no big deal. We have little silent death over here." And he's like,
Yeah.
"JK, actually made a better deal."
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kingfisher asked Malcolm, like, "Oh, what did you promise him to change this? Like, he's been given silver and gold and diamonds and all the things in payment." And he states that he will receive the dead who do not rise. Because again, 1 in 5 will rise. The rest, he's like, they will drink out of them, but they don't touch the flesh. So basically, old man is getting free Fae jerky.
Yeah. Which I did like that he was like, there is more to me than like gold or silver or anything,
Hmm.
material in that way. But I
Yeah.
also was like, dude, it's not hard for you to get some food. Like, it's not like
Right?
it's a struggle for you to go eat a person. Just
Yeah,
go eat a person.
just go eat
You're a
them.
dragon.
Or a little flock of sheep. They're yours. I'm sure if
Maybe
you would
he's a
have asked the
lazy
city,
dragon.
lazy dragon, if you would have asked the city, hey, I would like sheep instead of
Mhm.
diamonds, they probably
Mhm.
would have given you sheep
Yeah.
or goats or cows or whatever farm animals live there. I don't know exactly what ones they have besides foxes.
Yeah, like
They have horses. Could have asked for some horses,
in
not Bill and Ada.
in like the Fourth Wing series, they like
Yeah, they go get
their
sheep all the
dragons
time.
go get sheep all the time, right?
Hmm.
So like, yeah,
Food was
interesting.
available. I think he was probably just bored, right?
Yeah.
He's an old
And
dragon.
dragons, I feel like in universes like this aren't especially loyal unless they're
Hmm.
bonded to a person, like
Right.
specifically. Like otherwise they're not very loyal.
Hmm.
Even if they're like among a pack of dragons and they're bonded to individuals, they don't usually care about other individuals.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
So, yeah,
that makes
I
sense.
agree.
Yeah, I think he's like, whatever. I've been here for a long time and doing this thing. Now I'm over it. Oh, cool.
Right.
You're gonna give me free, easy food. Done. Got it.
Yeah.
Like he has no
Yeah.
ties to that city besides just
No.
payment for protecting it.
Right.
So, I mean, it was his choice, I guess. I don't like the choice, but he did it.
Yeah.
Free Fey jerky though. He's gonna get them all. Little dry
Mhm.
bodies. So part of the pack is inside, but Fisher is standing outside of because they finally make it to the gates, right? The fire sprites will not arrive in time, even though they have been called. And Fisher knows this, right? And he's like thinking, he's like, okay, the iron is really bad. We know that Ren was struck with an arrow once made of iron, and it should have killed him, but it didn't because he's so strong and he fought it. But it was like really close call, right?
I l
So he
I
was
liked
that.
this because I liked this part because it put into context how bad it was to them. Like, it's not like,
Hmm.
"Oh, you have to get stabbed with iron through the heart to die." It was like, no, he, like, barely got, like, whizzed by like, it,
Yeah.
like, barely touched his skin, and he
Hmm.
was on the edge of death for a week, and I also
Yeah.
liked that Fisher was like, "It was in that moment that I knew I would never die by this." Like, I never wanted to have that
Hmm.
fate.
Man is
So,
smart.
yeah, for sure.
He plans ahead. He truly does. Yeah, because he's like, I don't want this to happen to me. So he starts conditioning himself to
Mhm.
not have the effects of the iron be that bad for him. So he starts with like little bits of iron here, little bits of iron there, and then eventually he could touch like a pretty solid amount of iron and not pass away, right?
Mhm.
Not necessarily giant iron gates, but he sure does
Yeah.
try, right? So
Yeah.
he takes a hand, he puts one hand on each, and he starts pushing them together. He says that this, however, was magically infused iron, and his hand started to literally smolder the second it touched the gate. So it's not just regular iron; it's like magic special iron. So hands are melting. He's still doing it though, and Danya is losing it, right? So Danya is freaking out because Fisher is sacrificing himself again, and she says, "Why does it always have to be you?" Danya whispered. "There are 8 of us, Fisher. Let us help." So I think that line right there gives us a little glimpse into Danya and who she was before Fisher left and what kind of warrior she was and what kind of family member she was as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think these bonus chapters are so important
Mhm.
into who she is. Like,
Yes.
it is easy to not like her when you're reading this book through the eyes of Saris
Mhm.
and how unwelcoming she is and how harsh she is to Fisher, who is somebody that Saris cares a lot about. But like you've mentioned, she was part of this family first and like cared
She
about him
was.
first.
Yep.
So
She's cared
I
about
did
him
like
for a
this a
very
lot.
long time
Yeah,
as a
for sure.
brother.
For
So,
sure.
yeah. We're giving Danya grace. Give Danya a
I
break.
will
2025.
I'll give her a break.
Hashtag.
I think I need to
I
go
won
back
one
and
over.
I need to go back and read Quicksilver again though now,
Mhm.
because I would like to see my reaction to all of her moments in the main book now,
Yeah.
having read this. And I'm also interested in Brimstone,
Mhm.
how she is portrayed, and, like,
Right.
how you would your opinions on her, whether if you've read the bonus chapters versus if you haven't. Like,
Yeah.
if I go into Brimstone having read this, I might feel one way about her, but if I was somebody going into this having never read these bonus chapters,
Mhm.
it's easy to miss them,
Definitely. Agreed.
um,
No, I think
how
they're
you would
really,
read
really
her.
important.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully more people listen to the bonus chapters that are coming out and they do get a real
Mhm,
feel for Danya and who she is
mhm.
because I think that she truly will have a redemption arc in Brimstone. I think she will become a very important character. So it's
Yeah,
almost
I think
who's because I'm in fourth week now. I'm doing what you asked me to do, so I'm in it now. I know I
yeah.
am to the point where right now I don't like Kat. I think she's terrible, but I have a feeling that her redemption arc will show up later in the line. I have no idea if I'm right. That's just my guess.
We'll
Just like
see.
uh is it Imogen,
Yes.
right? I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this girl sucks," right? And then
yeah,
immediately I was like, "Oh, I see now. Now I don't hate
yeah.
her."
I feel like these bonus chapters, at least if nothing else, show you how much Callie Hart as an author values
Mhm.
her, you know?
Yes. Agreed. No, I think that she truly does. And I think she
Yeah,
likes her as a character and I think that if she kills her, I'm going to be pretty mad actually.
we'll see.
I do not vote Danielle off the island. Please don't kill her.
What about Ren?
Oh no, absolutely not. Do not touch Renfus. I don't know what I'll do. There's a couple that you just cannot touch.
Oh,
So, as Kingfisher has a hand on each one of the doors, he's bleeding all over the place. Like blood is dripping into the snow, but it says the crimson droplets falling into the snow turned into a glossy metallic silver. So, he not only bleeds regular, he bleeds silver. So, literally all over the place. And it's interesting because the Quicksilver then says, "We do not bow. We are not bound by foreign magics," it seethed, "nor shall you be. Quickly, the Quicksilver urge, faster, faster, they come, they come." So the Quicksilver's like, no, we don't, this magic doesn't matter. Like, we're doing this. What are your thoughts on
yeah,
that?
so my interpretation was, he's bleeding as he's doing this. It's, like, burning right through him,
Mm-hmm.
and the Quicksilver is like, I'm putting, like, me, just the Quicksilver, I'm blocking this."
Right.
Um,
I agree.
which, I mean, I thought it was a really cool part of the chapter because it, again, just continues to show like how intertwined they are and how
Mhm.
much it values Fisher.
Correct. Yeah. So it's
So
well, and is it makes me question, like, is it valuing him, or again, if he dies, the Quicksilver dies?
I mean, value in a way that like a parasite values a host, right? Like
Yes. Agreed.
value in a selfish form of
Mhm.
self-preservation.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm also interested if it was the Quicksilver itself that, you know, turned the blood droplets into this silver blood. Did the Quicksilver make that choice, or is that something that just happened,
I think that's
if
some
that
I
makes
if
sense?
my guess is something that just happened. So, like, the Quicksilver is part of him, it's literally coursing through him at all times. It is mostly in his
Right,
eye, yes, but I think it's through
right.
his whole body. So, I think that
Mhm,
it started bleeding and it was like, "Oh, no. Okay, now we have to step in and help
mhm.
you because you're obviously, like, not doing a good enough job," is my
Interesting.
guess.
Yeah,
It would be nice to know a little bit more about it, though, in this second book. Again, a
yeah,
previous requests that have been made, a Quicksilver POV. I need to
yeah.
know what it's thinking and doing and feeling.
Maybe that'll be the next bonus chapters.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
Yeah.
And then I can submit my I can submit to be the voice of it.
Yes, your, voice narrator
We're here.
audition.
We're here. See, there it is. It's great. So Kingfisher loses his grip on the door and he falls to the ground, right? He thinks about staying down there and giving up. He's like, I'm done. I'm gonna just lay right here and die. It's probably okay. And Renfist tells him to rise. Fisher's like, I tried and failed. Like I tried it, it's not working, it's over. And Ren replies, oh, okay, perfect. When the historians revisit Ajin in a couple of centuries, I'll make sure they chisel that into your headstone then. He tried. And I can't wait to hear that line on the recorded version.
Oh, for sure.
It's gonna be
I
so good.
This chapter gave Renfist so much his relationship with Fisher so much more depth because
Mhm.
I feel like he in the standalone book comes off as just like so heroic and so their relationship doesn't seem like as boyish almost. Whereas
Right.
here he's like, "Oh, I know what's gonna like I'm gonna have to be sarcastic with him. Like
Mhm.
I know how I'm gonna get him to move again. Otherwise, he is just gonna lay there and die."
Yeah, well, they're like that with each other because even later
Mhm.
on in this chapter, right, when everything goes down with Ren and he's about to burn out, Kingfisher's like, "That's an order. You need
Right.
to stop." Right? Like,
Yeah.
so they know each other so well that they knew like, "Oh, I have to take this tactic or this route in order to save my
Yep.
friend." So it
Yeah.
does show how well they know each other.
Mhm.
So he also tells Fisher, like, if you don't get up, every one of us is going to be dead. So if that's not going to get him off the ground, I don't know what will. So he gets up and he starts pushing again, but this time with his brothers on the same side of the gate as him, pushing on his back and helping him. And also, Dania is there,
Yeah,
not
she's
just his
like, "I'm not
brothers.
letting just the boys do this.
Yeah,
Get
she's like,
out of here."
no, I'm here to help. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
And
I did like that.
also, for those who are keeping up with like any swords in this book, because I know like I'm a big sword girly. So we learned that Dania's original sword name, not anymore, original sword name is Selindor. Selindor? Selindor? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I was going to wait till July 1st to really
Well, we'll find
officiate
out
that.
soon, but I
Celine,
was very
CEL.
excited about this.
Yeah, right? I was like, oh, it's a
Yeah,
name.
yeah, I was.
We need to get Dania a new sword. I think she's going to get a new sword in Brimstone. That's
Maybe.
my guess. If she really truly has her hand again. Because as we know in later chapters, she loses her hand. They
That's
say that
true.
they can heal it, but honestly, I think it'd be kind of cool if she only had one hand. Sucks that it was her
Maybe
wielding hand, like her sword hand, but she can learn to wield with the other hand. She's a tough lady.
she's tough. She'll
She
be
is.
fine.
She will be fine. She's gonna be great. So Fisher is telling the pack to go on without him or kill him first. His mouth is literally spilling out liquid. And again, we know it's silver that's dripping from him, not blood. As he's realizing what's happening in this moment, a blast of light erupts blinding him. He no longer sees the mountainside or any carnage. He is now in a grassy area and he hears, "Shh, don't be silly. He's the second handsomest." And my two of my favorite characters come in. We
Yeah.
have Bao and Mythin, our goddesses.
Yeah.
And if
I
you
was
have kept up with these
I was
episodes at
excited
all,
about this.
they're the best. If you've kept up with
Yeah.
our episodes at all, like Cass and I in the very beginning, we dove deep into Val and Mythin about like where we thought they came from and what Madrid like chose to not move forward with the information on with her citizens about them.
Mhm.
They're the best. They're two like centuries old little girls who are just bored as heck up there doing whatever it is that they want to do while their dad
Yeah.
is just being the god of like chaos and fate, basically.
Yeah.
Super, super cool. So Fisher says, I found myself in the middle of a sweeping range. Close by, a mighty tree stood atop a knoll, though far enough away that I could only just make out the shape of the figure seated on a rock beneath it. There was another figure up there too, slighter, a female by the looks of things. Though I couldn't make out her features, I didn't care about the male or whoever he was talking with, though. And we know who that was. We know. It was Eris.
Mhm.
Full circle moment. I love these.
Yep.
So the
Yep.
two girls are dancing in the field and they're laughing at Kingfisher, and he knew exactly like where he was, right? He's like, okay, no, I know where I'm at. And he's pissed. He's not happy. And one of the girls is like, shh, quiet, fierce heart. We aren't allowed guests to visit without father's permission. So he even has a nickname up there. They call him
Mhm.
Fierce Heart, which we
Yes.
don't really get more information on where that nickname comes from, but they are the only ones that have ever called him that.
Mhm.
So he's been up there a couple times, right? So he demands that Mythin send him back. She's like, I'm not Mythin, I'm Bao. And he's like, no, you are Mythin. Like, quit playing. I know who you
I
are.
love
And
I loved this, and they were like,
mhm.
"He's the only one that can tell us apart." I thought that
Yeah,
was really
they're
cool.
like, even our dad doesn't get it right sometimes because they're twins, right? They look the same. And so
Mhm.
it was very like big brother vibes.
Yep.
He's like, Mythin, send me home. Stop it. Like we've done this before, right?
Yeah.
So he demands to be sent home. And the girls are like, for what? To die? Like, you're literally dying. And it says, Mythin leaned forward, fingertips brushing my chin. You're very sick, you know. If we do send you back, you'll surely die. She popped the tips of her fingers into her mouth, giggling when my blood hit her tongue. Oh my, she breathed. Mal's crystalline eyes flared, staring at her counterpart. She demanded, what does he taste like? And she says, like hope. She thought for a moment, a little fear, perhaps, unmet potential, and love.
Pretty cool.
So cool. One of them's like, I
Yeah.
want to know what he tastes like. Let me try.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, stop touching me. It's so gross. So the girls also explain that their life is very limited where they are, and they are bored AF. So they just watch him all the time. And they're like, we spend a great deal of time observing you. It stems the boredom. We couldn't exactly let all those cruel creatures eat you now, could we? What would we do then? And they even ask him, like, how many times have you been here before? Uh, they said that he said, I didn't have to dig deep for the answer. There had been the first occasion when I was just a boy and Bellicon had sent me to the Quicksilver without a relic. Then there had been another time 3 centuries ago when the god of chaos had approached me with a proposition, one that I had summarily rejected out of hand. This is the third time. So it makes more sense about how he survived when he was little. We know that Quicksilver
Mhm.
saw potential in him and decided to bind to him, but it makes sense that he was in the that realm that gave him more time to survive. I think if he wouldn't have gone up there, there was probably a bigger chance that the Quicksilver would have just killed him.
Mhm. I
And we
agree.
don't know what this proposition was, but I think we're going to learn in book 2.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
I couldn't figure it out. If anyone has any theories about what the proposition was that the god of chaos had given them or like approached him with, let me know. Because I didn't have any. I mean, it could be a million things, right? It could be something
Yeah.
about the future or the past or something like I truly do not know. And
Yeah.
I wonder if Callie knew what the proposition was when she wrote this chapter. Or was she like, he approached him with something, but I don't know what it is yet. So that'd be a
Mhm.
question that I would ask her if I ever meet her.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like,
What is the proposition?
because he wasn't gonna do it for, like, nothing, right? Like, that just
Mhm.
wouldn't have made sense.
Right.
So,
Whatever it
I
was.
don't know.
Yeah. And he rejected it, right? So they tell him that his presence there today has nothing to do with Zareth, which is their father, and he probably has no idea he's even there. His mind is on other things at the moment. And this is where Fisher really starts to pay attention because he catches a scent on the wind. He says, a
Mhm.
scent blew to me on the breeze, then electrifying every part of me, like lilies and sugar and light and laughter and smoke. And he asks who's up there on the hill with Zareth. The sudden ache in my chest was more powerful than anything I'd ever experienced before. It overrode everything. Mithin explains that on the hill is the future, and Bal explains that they are in this moment in the past. She says, our home is strange. Time exists upon itself here, time upon time upon time. Her voice took her a dreamlike quality, blurring around the edges, but this is not your place, not yet. And Kingfisher whispered, she's hurt. He said, I could smell it, her blood, intoxicating, like a siren song calling to me. And he says, something's happened to her. And Mithin interrupts and says, she is safe. Our father is telling her of things to come, things not meant for your ears. So the girls each hold one of his hands and they walk him basically back to reality, away from the hill that he was getting lost in, right? And they tell him that he will be healed and he will not die today. When he looks back up and his hands are healed and he's no longer holding the girls' hands, but he's holding a beautiful black sword. And the girls tell him that this sword has been waiting for him for a millennia. Oh my God.
It's cool. It's very, I mean, it's again like that full circle and how it's all tied together with
Mm-hmm.
him and Saris, right? Like,
Yep.
uh, I also like have so much trouble wrapping my head around the idea of these places that exist where like time has no construct, which is how
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to feel. But the idea that like the past, the present, the future is all kind of in that moment and all
Yep.
happening in that moment. Because, like, part of me would be like, well, they would know that is going back because and that he's not dying in that moment because Saris was standing there.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's
You mean
kind of
like
the point of
you
these
mean like the
places.
girls telling him that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
because
they're
in the
just messing.
beginning,
I
they're
think
like
they're just messing with him.
right. And it's just to have again, like, having the knowledge of the
Mhm.
past, present, and future.
Yeah, they know all the things. They know everything that's gonna happen. So
Right.
it is interesting, which it surprises me that that surprises you because of, like, your love for Marvel and all of, like, the timelines and things
It's
like that making sense, so that's funny.
no, and I love all of those things. It's the idea of a place where it's all happening at the same time.
Oh, I okay, I see. I see.
Like, for Saris to be, like, in this one little area, for, like,
Mhm.
Saris to be standing over there with their father at the same time that Kingfisher of the like, it's just
Yeah,
the
the future
idea of
and the
it.
past.
Mhm.
It is a lot to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
It's incredible.
I don't know. Yeah, a lot.
I'm obsessed with it. It's one of my favorite parts. So he gets this sword, right? And before he can ask the
Mhm.
girls a final question that he desperately needed, which we don't know what that question was, because I was
I
like,
was
what's the
gonna ask
question?
you what you thought it was.
I have no idea. Again, it could be anything, right? My assumption is that it was about Saris or maybe something like that, but I don't know. But there was one more question he needed to ask them. He never got a chance to. He is dumped back into the fight and he watches Renfis emit blue orbs of magic. End part one.
Mhm.
What do you think the
Which
question was?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Couldn't tell you. No idea.
I thought this was going to be the end of this bonus chapter. I wasn't expecting a part 2, to be completely
Oh,
honest.
okay.
Like, I thought we were just learning how he came about his sword. I wasn't
Mhm.
expecting the second part to be part of it. I was obviously excited when it was, but I wasn't expecting a part 2. I was like,
It is
"Oh,
a
and that's how
good
he got his sword. Cool."
yeah, it's a good wrap up of the chapter, right? But
Mhm,
if you remember back in our previous episodes, there's a lot that goes into that sword specifically that we have
mhm.
not dove into yet.
Yeah.
Things that like again, like Renfist doesn't know.
Well, it's funny because when I was reading, I was like, "Well, this wasn't that heartbreaking," because you were, like, prepared to, like, have your heart broken. I was like, "Oh, yeah, you got the sword. Cool. Like, we're
You're
good."
like, all
And
right,
then I was
Dallas,
like
chill out.
yeah. And then I
Girl's
kept reading and I was
dramatic.
like, "Oh,
Yeah, right.
we're
I
here.
told you it
It's
was
bad."
coming. And so she's like, "Oh, this girl's a little wild.
I was
Like,
like,
she's
"This
there's
is
nothing sad
great.
here.
Yeah." And he got his sword. We're
We're
good. And
doing
then I
amazing."
and then I kept reading and I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
oh no."
oops.
Yeah.
Eek. No,
Yeah.
no, things be sad over here. Hearts be breaking. Even when I reread this to like finish our episodes, I was reading it again and my heart was racing. I was like, again? It's hurting me
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where you're like you're torturing yourself by reading it again.
Yeah.
But I do wish that I could read these again for the first time. If there's, I mean, there's like certain books where like, man, you
Mhm.
finish them, and you're like, I wish that I could read that again for the first time to get that
Mhm.
feeling. These bonus chapters are them for me.
That's how I feel about A Court of Mist and Fury.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much to digest in that
Mhm.
specific book of the academic
Yeah.
series that, um and just, like, the way you, like, feel, like, going with Farah through, like, her stages of grief, essentially, of one
Mhm.
relationship, and then going into another one. I just think that book is, like, pretty special the first time you go through it.
Yeah,
Same thing.
agreed. I agreed. I feel that way about Silver Flame. Like if I had to pick one of them from that series, like Silver Flame is my favorite book of the series. And obviously we all know Nesta Gurley's like her healing journey and
Yeah.
her gaining friends and her and Cassian's relationship developing was really special. And I really did connect with that
Yeah.
quite a bit. So
Yeah.
I agree. But yeah, these
Yeah.
bonus chapters are ones that if I could, okay, Alyssa, if I get in an accident and my memory is erased
Well,
from
I'll
back
have
in,
to
will
have
you?
you read Quicksilver first.
Yes. And then the bonus chapters. And you can do whatever order you want in the bonus chapters. It doesn't matter to me. I like them all.
Okay. I won't forget to give them to you.
Okay. Don't forget.
I won't.
Just bonus chapters have to happen.
Okay.
And then will you give me the audible too?
Yes, of
So I
course.
can hear them.
Yes, of course.
Okay. I'll just add it to my list of requests.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then we enter part 2. So, Kingfisher's back in the battle basically, right? So he decides he's like I'm not going to die here today. He does, however, want to die in bed with a book that he just finished next to him with dawn spilling through the window. Honestly, same.
Mhm.
Same.
Yeah.
I read that and I was like, "Yep, that's a good way to go."
And what a line for all the book readers out there,
Yes, I wanna die in
you
bed
know?
with a book that I wanna finish the book. No unfinished
Right.
pages here.
Mhm. Yeah.
Agreed. But it's interesting for, like, such a tough, like, powerful warrior to be like,
It's
"I
like
don't
one
wanna
of
die on
those
this battlefield."
it's just like one of those little touches that kind of humanizes him and makes him, like
Mhm.
because as much as you, like, love, like, the big bad warrior, you love them for knowing that they also, like, have their, like, soft side. Like, that's what makes
Agreed.
them a complete character, so,
Yes, 100%.
yeah.
This these moments here and do remind me of my husband, where it's like this, like, big burly dude, it's, like, so tough, so strong, but then, like, with behind closed doors, just a big awesome softie. He's gonna be mad at me for
Yeah.
saying that.
No, I
He
think
was
that's
like, "Talk about
uh
me more on the podcast," and then he's gonna be like, "Oh my god, not that."
Stop talking about me in the
It's like,
podcast.
"Actually, I redact my request. Don't talk about me on your podcast anymore."
Yeah,
No,
we'll
it's
see.
nice though. No one wants a tough, mean guy on the outside and the inside.
Right,
That's not fun.
right.
So that's
I
it
agree.
does remind me of him a little bit. Kingfisher does note that this dragon that is coming after them is not just coming after them because they're blocking him from the city, but he's also out for revenge because they did kill that dragon back in the day. So not only do you have a giant beast that's like pissed because you're in the way, but pissed because you're in the way and you've also killed some of his kind before, which I think makes it 10 times worse. this is where things kind of pick up pretty quickly. So it doesn't state it, but I think when Kingfisher went to see the twins, his shadows let the dragon go because the dragon is now up and waiting for the pack to move. Because I was looking through it and I was like, it doesn't say that the dragon like broke free or anything like that because he was pinned to the ground. So my
But
assumption is that.
he does he does mention that he has to, like, focus his energy and use, like,
Mhm.
a constant source of energy to maintain the things that he does with the shadows, so that's how I interpreted it as well.
Right, like, he went to the other place, and so his mind was now in the other place, so the shadows just kinda let
Right.
go, which is unfortunate for them
Yeah.
because now Dragon's, like, up and moving again, right?
I
So Morel, which is Renfis's twin sister, she's running up the hill with a child in her arms. Fisher and Lorth charged in her direction to intercept because the dragon's, like, right with her.
Mhm.
This was the moment Renfis noticed that the drake had landed right behind Morel. He gathers his white and blue orb light and blasts him at the dragon. At the same time, Kingfisher launches his shadows. This was another attempt to chain the dragon down, but they were too late. And he says, unshakable Renfis, with sudden terror in his eyes, his mouth fell open in a silent cry. In one swift movement, he was drawing energy into his hands, amassing it. The blue-white orb lanced through the night just as I raised my hands and threw out power of my own, and both shadow and light struck the beast in unison. Energy crackled over Ol El Shakrai's scales, shadows forming chains, lashing around his giant form. But too late. The drake was already upon her. Morel was already done. Real sad.
Real sad.
So I know. This is where I was like, girl, get ready.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and at first you're like, man, that really sucks. Like Ren's twin sister, like we obviously don't want Ren to be upset or feel sad, but it is a little bit later in this chapter too where it really comes full circle. And even though you don't really know any facts about Morel, you appreciate her as a character so much.
Mhm. I also
So,
think
mhm,
you've been conditioned to feel about Renfis, the way you do so
mhm,
much that you don't want to see him get heartbroken. Like,
ever.
if if Kingfisher is heartbroken, I feel like it fits his character more. But, like,
Yeah.
Renfis in the way that you've grown to perceive him and what you think about him, just to see him heartbroken, I don't know, it just, like,
Mhm.
strikes the chord
Yeah.
differently.
Protect Renfis at all costs.
Yeah.
No harm shall ever come to this man. Kingfisher's used to
Yeah.
being hurt. Not that I want him to be hurt, but like he's used to it, right? He's like,
Right.
it's fine. But like
Yeah. Exactly.
Renfist deserves better. Don't do
Yeah.
bad things to Ren.
Yeah.
So in this moment, Renfist starts bringing up all of his magic, and he's about to burn out and basically kill himself. Like he's literally gonna die. Kingfisher knew what he needed to that he needed to be with him, so he brought his magic up, put a foot forward, and conjured a shadow gate. This was only the second time that he had ever been able to conjure this gate, which we've talked a lot about the shadow gates, and he can wield them
Mhm.
very easily now in this book. But back in the day, over 100 years ago, the only other time that he had conjured a gate was to save Lorth.
Yeah.
So I love that we get a little bit of a introduction to his magic and not just knowing like, oh, he's had this awesome magic his whole life. Like he did have to learn
Yep.
this stuff. And it
Right.
looks like it comes like with emotions is when he was able to start wielding these gates. Like he's like, I need to be with Ren. I need to save this stranger. Right.
Yep.
So, second time he conjures a shadow gate and he walks through it. As the guys are trying to help Ren and like calm him down and not burn out, he says there's no point in living when he can go be with his twin in the afterlife. Fisher notes that he doesn't get to go there if he burns out because his soul will literally burn away. Wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like you can't like if you do this, you won't ever be with her. You have no chance. So as we had talked about earlier, Fisher knew exactly what to do to help Brendan. He orders him to let go. And just as he did let go, a blast of power went out and shot everyone around him to the walls. Magic soared and hit the dragon right in the ribs in between the scales. Nothing has ever pierced a dragon's scales before. This was the first time. So I think that Renfis is going to be a huge part of book 2 if there are dragons in there. Mark my words. Quote this. Write this down.
Quoted.
Quoted.
Marked.
Note it. Put it in a short.
Noted.
It's fine.
Uh, but is he
Thoughts?
going to die facing another dragon?
No. No.
I
That's my
hope
answer.
not.
Nope. I won't accept it. Nope. I'm
Yeah.
not manifesting that. I can't do it. I can't.
Okay.
So
Mark my words, that won't happen.
it will not happen. Save him. Should we start? We should start something online. Hashtag save Renfis.
Save Ren.
Don't let him die. The
Yeah.
book's already printed. It's fine. But he's alive and I can tell.
Are we going to get a scene where Carrion talks to a dragon?
Oh my God. What would he even say?
I don't know. It would be good though.
It would be good. I think he would ask to write it.
It would be something.
Can we get a dragon valet?
Yes. We'll just I'll just promote the horse valet.
Yes, he can do it. He's fine.
Yeah.
He was nice to Ada. Horse valet
Yeah.
man, you are now dragon valet man.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So, as this is all happening, Kingfisher starts looking around at all the feeders are there, right? And they all start taunting him. They are all Morel now. He states that the Quicksilver is always playing tricks on him and showing him things that aren't real. With the anger that he had in the unrelenting Quicksilver, he conjured once again another Shadowgate right to the front of Omnumshkai. I want to jump back to the moment that they are in the tent together and he says, I can't trust anything. He probably thought he was imagining her and it wasn't real.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, could be. I found this so interesting because, in the same essential I mean, you're part 1 and part 2, but in the same bonus chapter, you're watching the Quicksilver put everything before him
Mm-hmm.
to, like,
And then be mean to
save
him.
him, and then, yeah, just be so cruel.
Yep. I think it only saved him out of necessity, not
It's very
because it
interesting.
cares about him at all in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's like, again, like that parasite host
Mm-hmm. Yep.
relationship. Like,
Yeah.
it can mess with him. It's not gonna, like,
Mm-hmm.
ruin him or
Right.
sacrifice him, but it can mess with him.
Correct. Because it's like, oh, you killed me. This is your fault. You killed me. And it's all Morel saying that from the feeders.
Mhm.
Not cool. So
No.
as he's stepping through the shadow gate for the third time, right, this third time he conjured a gate, he attempts to wrap the drake in thick shadows, but the dragon took off, which he did not expect. So with the Quicksilver's instructions, he goes back to his friends through another gate and finds Ren awake once more. So it does tell him to go, and this time he does listen. So I guess he does. He doesn't always do the opposite. So this time he did listen, but he had the choice not to. But thankfully, he makes the right choice. He goes back. Ren is awake. The drake is flying overhead and is about to dump brimstone onto the people of the Ajin. The question is raised, how many times can this dragon empty its tank before it's done, right? Because of the size of the dragon is estimated at like 3 times. They say like a regular dragon, maybe 1 time, but because of how large this dragon is, 3 times at least. And this information came from Corix. It says, among the Lupoporelia, they had the most experience with dragon kind. They had once been trained to handle them back when it was still believed that the beast could be brought to heal. I don't know what or who they're healing. It gives us 0 information about that. But I guess in the past, it could be thought that dragons could heal. And I don't know if I was the only one that
Maybe
imagined Jurassic Park when he was like
y
trying to tame these
yeah,
raptors.
I did not think of that, but maybe a dragon will heal Ren in Brimstone.
Maybe they'll bond.
Yeah.
Memphis deserves to have a dragon as a friend. He'll
Maybe.
heal him. It better.
Maybe Daniel will get a dragon instead of a sword.
Oh, she would look really good on top of a dragon. Yes, agreed. Give Dania a dragon. Dragons for everybody. That's what I
We'll see.
say. I don't know. I should never write a book. There'd be no bad things. Everybody gets dragons. Everybody
No
lives. The
plot.
end.
Everybody's happy. Everyone's in
Everybody's
love.
happy. It's fine. I feel like I'm always 50-50, right? Because like in some episodes, I'm like, I get it. Madras the bad. Like I would have done the same thing
Yeah.
if I was. But then sometimes I'm like, everyone's happy. It's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna win.
You
But no,
gotta
you
have
didn't. You
some.
didn't imagine Jurassic Park. If now are you
No.
though? Are you at all? Where where they were like, we used to like have these dragons because they were like they would heal, and then I just imagine like that
Maybe.
Chris guy, and then he has all these like dinosaurs.
Yeah, but the raptors didn't speak.
That's true. It would have been pretty cool though if they did.
Yeah.
I feel like a
Excuse
dragon
me.
that's big enough and like what's the word I'm looking for? Like able to literally speak. Like I would think, want to be seen as equals, right? Instead of used as
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe that's why, like they tried to train and handle them, right?
Mhm.
But can you train and handle something that literally speaks the same language as you?
You
Maybe
can in
train.
fourth one.
Do they train and handle them, or do those dragons train and handle those humans? Is the like
That's kind
those
of
dragons are in
that
charge?
that was more of what I imagined, like this train used loosely, have
Hmm.
some kind of agreement with.
That's yes. That I feel like that would make more sense.
Yeah. I don't think
Dragons
you're
like you're just not gonna
training a
handle me,
dragon that can speak.
right? This is gonna tell you where to go.
Yeah, you're not, like, breaking them like a horse, you know?
Wonder
I
if
don't know.
dragons can throw up besides just the brimstone, unlike
Yes, I think
horses.
dragons are g I think dragons are good.
They're probably. I just wonder now that I know that
They
horses
don't have
can't throw
to
up.
they don't have to worry about that.
Okay, good. Thank goodness. That would be really bad.
Yes.
You even sent me a picture of the sign the other day
I
that says,
did.
"Don't feed the horses; they can't throw up."
It came up on I can't remember, some social media, and I was like, "I gotta send this to Dad."
That's the most wildest fact I've heard all year.
You're welcome.
It's I just never I tell lots of people now. I'm like, "Did you guys know?" In case you didn't know, in case you haven't listened to previous episodes, horses cannot throw up.
That's right.
One tummy ache away from
One bad tummy ache
problems.
away from death.
Ugh, so stressful.
Yeah,
I hate it.
yeah.
Okay,
Mhm,
so back to it. This is the part that got me. So, in order to like get to the dragon, right? They have to get to the top of the mountainside so they can hide and then sneak attack him, right? So the pack jumps through the shadow gate behind Fisher and they lay in wait. As the dragon lands, Kingfisher yells out, "Nye Morel." And I did you catch this one immediately? Nye Morel.
no. Oh, yes. Now, just
Nimmerel.
now.
Nimmerel. The name of his sword. And do you know what
I did
Nye Morel
not
means?
get it.
For
4.
Morel.
Yeah, I knew it's funny because I read it and I was like, "Oh, that just means for morale." Like, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. I was like, "Oh, that's
Nimmerel.
what it means." Like,
Oh, we're catching it real time here.
yeah, this is my
Is your
real-time
heart
reaction.
broken again?
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
Yep. For
That's wild.
Morel.
Mm.
Nimmerel. Ugh.
Shame on me for not catching this earlier.
No, you know what? I'm glad I caught this in this moment. I'm glad I was here for this. If I could have had the option, I would have watched you read these bonus chapters. When we were at
Could
lunch
have
today, I was
live
like, "Did you read
streamed
them?"
it.
Yes. Let's get some video of Alissa reading these bonus chapters. Yes. Nye Morel for Morel. And then, unfortunately, Foley falls off of the dragon's back and passes away.
Mhm.
R.I.P. And I only
Yep.
say R.I.P. because we know nothing about this character. So we did lose one of the pack. Very sad. R.I.P. again.
Yep.
So, and then we kind of just move on from that pretty much immediately. He's like, I don't have time to think about this. Like, I can't
I
right
don't
now.
have time. Yeah, he even
Right.
says,
He's
like, I can't sacrifice time to think about this right now."
correct. So Fisher is running on the dragon's back and is about to aim for his eye on the side, but the dragon snatches him out of the air with his mouth. So Fisher is fully engulfed in dragon jaws. Before he is killed by the poison that was the breath of the dragon, he yells once more, "Nigh Morel," and plunges his new godsword into the roof of the dragon's mouth. Bet for Morel. So, dragon is dead on the ground. Fisher is stuck in the mouth of this dragon for hours.
Gross.
So gross. So bad. It's awful. It doesn't give us any more descriptions, but either way, during this time he's in the dragon's mouth, Morel visits him. And this is another like crazy, crazy part, right? So we know that she's wearing a dress instead of armor, and Kingfisher tells her she looks beautiful. But she says, "You were supposed to tell me that when I was alive." Like when it could have been something, when we could have acted on it, right? He notes that there was always like want and tension there, but again, never acted upon. She also says that she's okay with that, right? She was always a sister in the situation, and that was enough for her. Being a part of the pack was enough for her. She notes the god swords will also start failing soon, but only his will remain. So she like knew this was happening. So Kingfisher also knew this was going to happen before they died.
Mhm.
Right. And she says, "I've bound a part of myself to it. This small kernel of magic that my soul possessed, whatever it was worth, now belongs to that sword. It will help you when you need it."
Yep.
Oh my God.
I like that I like that she's like, "No, now I'm still with you." Like,
Yep.
he's first like, "No, no, 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 like, don't do that." And she's like, "I'm already dead, like, what does it matter? And now I
Right.
can still be part of the pack." I love that.
Yes. Exactly. And I think back to like bringing it back around to Daniel once more, like to be the only to have this other woman in the pack, and it doesn't give us Daniel's like point of view on this at all, but to have the only other girl in the pack and then she passes away and
Mhm.
to be the only woman there left, like with those boys, I can see why she's so protective of the rest of her pack
Yeah, for
over
sure.
anyone else. And I don't think Kingfisher told anybody this. It never tells us that he told us this, which is why back in our previous episodes, when we were talking about like when Ren talks about Kingfisher's sword and how it's like a little weird, it's a little off, but it like still like kind of has magic a little bit. I don't think he knows that that's his sister in there. Otherwise, I
No,
think
I
he
don't
would approach that sword so differently.
yeah, I think he would be so protective over it.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
agree. I don't feel like that information was shared.
I don't think he told a single soul. I think one day he will tell Saris.
It would have been, I think, almost too painful to tell Ren. Like,
Mhm.
"Sorry, this sword that's mine, I have a piece of your sister and you have nothing."
Right, exactly. And then my question is, it was the only piece of magic tied to her soul. So is she like she's in there now, right? She didn't get to go to the afterlife that is in their books. Like she didn't get to go to another place. So even if Ren were to die, he would not see her on the other side.
Yeah,
Right?
I
And
would
then is
assume
it
so.
like when like if Lorith or if Kingfisher dies before Lorith, he's just walking around like he's like stuck there. Does Morel feel stuck? It doesn't ever
I
answer
don't
that
think so
either.
because I think she's still part of the pack and that's what she wanted.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how I interpret it. Like,
Mhm.
she wanted to still remain with them. She still wanted to be with them and be part of their pack and
Yeah.
the battles that they go through and their,
Mhm.
you know, wars that they fight, and that's her way of doing that.
Right. I agree. It gutted me.
Yeah.
The end of this chapter crushed me, crushed my spirit. So she says one final thing before she disappears forever, and that is a message from his mother, who we know was killed. She says, "The second thing I need to tell you is that your mother wants you to know how much she loves you. She's with you. She will always be with you." And I want you to know always is in italics. It's tilted
It's
in the
important.
books. It's important. She will always be with you. And lastly, she wants me to warn you. She needs you to guard your true name. She says that your life depends on it. I swear to God, this fox is his mother reincarnated. She
Well,
will
I think
always be with you.
yeah, I feel like the next bonus chapter that we're gonna cover is
Really puts it
really
into
getting to
place.
that. Yeah.
Yes. The fox is his mom reincarnated. I bet money. Somebody take my money because I'm betting it. The end of this chapter, The Gate, Part 2. Ugh, what a good chapter.
Yeah.
People who have not read this chapter are missing something very important in their life, in my opinion.
It gives you so much context into more than just Saris. Like, by the end of
Mhm.
Quicksilver, you know Saris so well, and
Right.
for having so few other characters, like, again, there's not a ton of other secondary characters in the book.
Mhm.
It gives you so much more context into, I mean, a lot of them.
Correct.
So,
I agree. The second bonus chapter, chapter 2, The Fox, the Boots, the Dress is the title, which is really cute. So Kingfisher's walking through the halls of college with Onyx nipping at his heels. He is super upset that the human in his life is there and that she would be the death of him. So in this chapter, he really doesn't call her Saris until later, like later on in this chapter. She is noted as human. He asks Onyx if he has somewhere else to be, and he notes that Onyx looked like he was smiling at him. He even lightly prodded him with his boot, but the fox stayed, which is wild.
mhm.
He speaks of the past when his mother's scent would fill the halls and she would sing to him. She smelled of jasmine. The scent was now long gone, but the halls were filled with another scent that was driving him a little wild, which is Saris, as we know now. We learn more also of Archer's backstory here, and that he was the first face that Kingfisher remembers as a child. And he was the one who stayed with him after his father went missing. And he was also the one who stayed with him when his mother locked herself in the library for 6 days because she was grieving the loss of him. Archer asks about the dinner setting and if Ren needs a plate, because this chapter is kind of based like everyone's in the palace. Kingfisher has returned, and then Saris has been instructed that she will go to a dinner with him, right? So that's kind of where we're at. So
Mhm.
Archer's like, "Do you want me to set a plate for Ren? Like, are you sure?" And he's like, "No, no, no. Like, this is me attempting to make nice for Saris for Renfist. Like, this is what Ren wants, so I'm gonna do it." He also asks about if there's any other forest animals that will be moving into the castle, and Kingfisher states that we must suffer the fox for now. And that basically he's picking and choosing his battles. And the fox is not a battle he is choosing with Saris today. And he says, I scowled down at the offending creature, and it grinned back up at me again, teeth white, tongue still lolling, as if it knew that I was talking about it. Of course it did, because it's your mom. Anyways, Archer asks if he should take Onyx back to Saris's room, but in this moment, Kingfisher hastily replies, "No, no, no, like that's fine. It's okay, it can stay." What did you think of that? Like that moment?
How he responds.
Mm-hmm. It was a very quick response.
It's interesting. I don't feel that, like, Kingfisher has any let's say that Onyx is in some way or another his mom. I don't think that he has any thought of that.
No, no, no. I don't think anybody knows.
No. So I just interpret it as another, like, picking and choosing my battles. Like, he's like, "No, it's fine. Like, whatever. It's not,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's more hassle than it's worth. Like, just let it be."
yeah. Do you know what I thought of? Do you? It's like when you have a family and the kids find a cat, or and the dad's like, no, no, no cats, and they're like, he's like, fine, I guess the cat can stay, whatever. And then like a couple days later, the cat's sitting on dad's shoulder taking a nap,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Mhm.
I hate this cat. No, he doesn't. That's
Yeah.
what I thought of, where he's like, no, 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 it's fine, the fox can stay.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, the fox reminds him of Sarah, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's she was the kid bringing the fox home
Right.
or the cat home in,
Mm-hmm.
in that comparison. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I I think it's he likes the fox if for no other reason than it reminds him of Saris and, like, her
Mm-hmm.
compassion towards it when she found it.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Archer asks if he should take Onyx back to Saris's room. Obviously, he says no. And then he asks, Fisher asks Archer to stop calling him Master and just call him Fisher. He agrees and then immediately does it again. Yes, I will forgive Archer. No, I will not forgive Holgoth. I will not apologize. Archer can do no wrong. Also, Archer does try to get it right. Archer's like, I'm sorry, like I'm trying. Holgoth was like, nah, bro, I'm gonna call you whatever I want to call you.
Oh
So
my
I
god, I can't
I knew
believe
you were gonna
you had, yeah, you
I knew
can't,
you were gonna
no,
bring this up.
you
I knew you
cannot
would say it.
different standards
Archer said
because
sorry,
it would
and
be
then tried to do better. Hogarth was like, "I'm sorry, sir, but no, I can't."
it should be easier for Archer to do it though than Holgoth. Archer's known Fisher since he was a little kid.
But he also hasn't seen him, and he has anxiety.
Maybe Holgoth has anxiety.
Maybe. It doesn't tell us that. It does tell us that Archer ends up in the fetal position quite often. So we did not see
Fine.
Hogarth in the fetal position.
Well, maybe he
But
was
I
after he
I
left.
I typed that in and I was like, Alyssa's gonna be so pissed. Type, 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 type.
Yeah, you can't have different
No.
standards.
So oh man, he does try. Eventually, he does call him Fisher. So Fisher stops in his parents' bedroom, but Archer is really hesitant to leave him there alone, right? And again, just before he leaves, he calls him Kingfisher, which I thought was a good moment because he's trying. Good for you, Archer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still stand on that. Once Archer leaves, Fisher can finally let his guard down and breathe in the memory of Jasmine and soft laughter, hearing his mother's voice in the distance and shaking the memory away. He mentions that his mother was never a collector of finery, but his father would bring her beautiful dresses whenever he would travel. And that his dad would get like really excited about bringing her these dresses. And she was like, "Thank you." Like, dad's love language was gift giving for sure.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm going to give her these beautiful dresses." Like, he's like traveling and thinking of his wife and his queen. So I thought that was like really special, right?
Yeah.
Fisher also notes that his father used to wear greens and blue under the reign of Rorik Dianthus. But when Bellicon snuck his way in as a friend, that changed. And afterwards, he was in leather and armor each day for safety. He used to take him hunting and riding, and there was parties and balls, but no more. None of that is happening. And this is another full circle, beautiful moment because Fisher goes further into the closet and he spots a pair of nice, heavy black boots with good leather. And you know who gets those boots? Carrion
Carrion. I was
does.
like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, the boots."
The boots. I love the boots, right? So I thought about this. Okay. Full circle theory for book 2. We finally see that Daddy Fish is alive, right? He sees Ceres and is like, "Hey, cool sword. That used to also be mine." And then he looks over and he's like, nice boots. Those also used to be mine. I see you gave away all of my things, son." And that is a
I'll note
scene
it.
I'm like banking on happening in Brimstone.
Maybe.
Like, "Son, you gave away all my stuff."
Carrion's gonna be like, "Yeah, well, they look better on me."
Probably. He's like, "Thanks for the boots." But
Yeah.
also, I think, I feel like I know that Carrion knows Kingfisher's dad.
Mm. But he had no reaction to it when he got the boots. He wasn't like, "Oh, those are your dad's."
But why? How would he doesn't tell him, right? He just Kingfisher goes in with the boots and is like, "Take a bath and you're gonna get these boots." So from Carrion's perspective, he has no idea that those are his father's boots. We know that, right? But
Mhm.
Carrion does not. But it is noted in these chapters that his father was sent to Zilvarin to protect the Dianthus heir. And who is the Dianthus heir?
Okay.
Carrion is
Yep,
the Dianthus heir. So Carrion was
yep.
brought over as a child, protected by Kingfisher's father.
Interesting.
That will be
Yeah,
another full circle moment I think is coming in the next
yeah.
book.
Okay.
So every time we get some more information from Kingfisher's perspective about the oath Bellicon forced on him, every time he thinks about speaking it to someone, it feels like a literal noose around his neck. And we do learn in like the chapter of the maze, that other bonus chapter, that the oath feels differently and consequences feel differently to each Fae that it's placed upon. But
Hmm.
we'll go into that later on. So just as Kingfisher is looking in the closet, the lost memories of his mother, he noticed some dresses tucked in the back. He knows immediately that they're not hers because she doesn't wear dresses like that. And okay, here's this. A voice urged me to step toward them. Its tone soft, unlike the Quicksilver with its unhinged demands, a voice as familiar to me as my own, though I hadn't heard in a lifetime. Hers, my love. These are hers. Heat boiled up the back of my throat and strangled me. No, not happening. Not today. Not fucking ever. I spun around and stormed out of the dressing room, slamming the door close. The fox yelped. I trapped the damn animal in the dressing chamber, but it served it right. It shouldn't be so underfoot all the time. And if that isn't his literal mom speaking to him, I don't know what is.
Was this the first time?
Yes.
Like, do you think it has ever happened before? Do you think it's only happening because the fox is there? Or do you think, I don't know, that it's happened before?
Like what? Like what? Him,
Like he's
like the fox.
heard her voice like that.
There's nowhere in the book that I know of that it speaks to him like that, right? Because he's like, I
No,
heard a
right,
voice in my head, but it wasn't. He's
right.
like, it wasn't the Quicksilver, and
Yeah,
it's not just like a memory.
yeah.
I think it's the fox. The fox, and the fox is there, right? Why would she? Why mention that he tripped over the fox once again? We know the fox
Mhm.
was there.
Yeah.
I, I am gonna die on this hill.
I wasn't completely sold until reading this specific bonus chapter, and then I was like, I see it.
Yeah, with all like compared to all the other facts that I've laid out as well, like these last like all of these episodes,
Yeah.
we know the fox is more than just a fox for sure. But like the fox's mom, that's if it's different. If I'm gonna be blown away if it's not that. So he goes back in and he begrudgingly grabs one from the rack. He grabs a dress. He says, I tore the first wrap gown from the rail and bit out a curse as I finally bolted for the door, making sure that the human's pet was no longer trapped this time. It seemed to be grinning extra wide at me, sticking extra close as I left my mother's rooms. Because it knows. So he's going back down the halls of college and he finds Carrion. After some banter and an agreement to take a bath because he is reeking of Ceres's perfume, Fisher brings in the water sprite and her 3 sisters. The water sprites have water magic and their voice is almost like a magic song that sucks people in. Fisher learned how to block it out a while back, but Carrion had no chance. Not that he would take it if he did have a chance, right?
Mhm.
Like I don't
Yeah.
think he would care.
No.
Honestly, at first I was like, "Oh, well, he didn't have a chance. He wouldn't take it anyways. He would still go with the water
Yeah.
sprites."
Yep.
Right? So after Carrion is swept away by the sprites, Kingfisher is about to leave the new dress on the bed for Ceres, but she starts coming into the room. He panics. He whips out the shadows and envelops himself in the corner, and she cannot see him. Onyx in this moment was with him, like in between his feet. Onyx in this moment as well could have, and what I would expect, to run to Ceres, right? Or like rat out Fisher's presence. But Onyx stays with Kingfisher. He
He
doesn't
sits
go
on
right
his
to Ceres.
shoe.
What was that? In the shoe?
Isn't this yeah, when he, like, sits on top, Onyx sits on top of his shoe.
Yeah, he's like hiding like almost in between his legs, like
Yeah,
in the shadows.
yeah,
But it knows Ceres, right? It would have immediately ran to Ceres.
yeah.
And he says, I glared down at it, daring it to make a sound, but it just weaved between my legs and sat itself on the top of my right boot, looking pleased as punch.
Hmm,
Amazing.
yeah.
Fisher mentions the visions his mother had about her and who she would be, but the big difference between his mother's visions and reality is that Ceres was not Fae, right? Therefore, she would die way before he would. She would
Mhm,
live life in a blink, right? So Ceres is in there, he's hiding, she's looking for a bath. She's like, if I were a bath, where would I be, right? We learn that the shadows that Fisher possesses are from his mother's side, but the conjuring is from his father's side. So, dude literally conjures up a whole bathroom with warm towels, nice soap, all of the things, right?
yeah.
Amazing, first of
And he's
all.
like, "It'll just be gone when she's done with it." Like,
Right. Here's a
whatever.
bathroom. She needs it.
Yep,
Bam, done. Oh my
yep.
gosh. It's my dream power. So, as Ceres is in the bathroom, she's changing to get into the tub. Fisher notices the state that her body is in. And this is another full circle moment that you and I have talked about in the past, right? Where I'm like,
Yeah,
he wants her
his
to eat, and
concern.
this is
Yeah,
why, right?
Yep.
Her shoulder blades jutted out too much. God's alive, she was too thin. Sylvarin had kept her lean, and even if my mother's journal was wrong and she wasn't my mate, I would still see to it that she packed some flesh under her bones while she was bound to me. She would eat while she was with me. She would never go hungry or thirsty again. I would keep her safe no matter what. So good.
Yeah.
So every time he's like, eat, eat. If I answer a question, will you eat? Like, just eat for me. Like, just eat. He made a promise to himself, right?
Yeah.
So also, if you are looking for a bathroom appears in your bedroom the next day, and this is
Would
not
you
in the book.
would you not expect it to be in the same place?
Yes. Do you think
Yeah,
that girl gaslit herself for everyone was like, I swear to God, I took a bath here yesterday. Like,
probably. Because
I
like,
know
she
that there
didn't
was a
know he
tub.
was there in her mind. There could be no magic happening here. Like, I would just
Correct.
assume.
There
Yeah,
was there was a door. She went through the door. There was a bathroom and a tub. And
right,
then she went the
right,
next day and she's like, hold on,
right. Yeah,
where did the bathroom go?
yeah,
And she's like, literally, she's like, all my stuff's here, but where's the
yeah,
bathroom?
for sure.
I was like, the next day she probably was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Where's the bathroom? So Sarah starts to undress. Fisher brings up more shadows to block her because he has not been invited to look yet, which is another thing that I know that this was written by a woman. Just want to say
Mhm,
that. I just want to throw that out there. So
mhm.
he comes out of the shadows that he is tucked into. He lays the dress onto the bed full of anxiety because he knows, again, this dress was made just for her, but he is terrified of losing her. So at this moment, he decides to be the worst that he can possibly be at this upcoming dinner in order to keep her safe. The end. Such a good chapter.
One more to go.
5 stars. The final chapter, and again, this is the chapter that is in the end of the Kindle Unlimited. So this is like not in on her website that I could find. So it's called The Maze. So in this, the Kingfisher is in the maze that he has been trapped in for 110 years by Malcolm and Bellicon, right? And this is where we meet the character Taladeus. So well, and we met him in the book, right? But
Yeah.
he's in this chapter right here. So this is like pre-book essentially. So Taladeus sits on the edge of a stone seat while he and Fisher are surrounded by mountains of coins, right? And he's like, 55,983, 55,984, and he's flipping them all over and they're landing on the ground. And he says that there are literally millions of coins. And with Fisher stating that he had flicked each one of them up at least a dozen times already to find the right one. I literally could not even give you a number. I was like, I should like do the math and find this number, right? So you like millions of coins all flipped up over a dozen times. That's insane. That is insanity.
I mean, even if it was just 1,000,000 coins and he flipped each of them a dozen times, that's
Mhm.
12,000,000 coins that he's
Right.
pitched.
Over
So,
the span of 110 years.
yeah.
It's crazy. So they are in the courtyard of this maze. So I imagine the maze like a big circle, right? And then like the courtyard in the middle. So he says that while he's in the courtyard of the maze, he was safe-ish, right? Because Malcolm's demons and Morthill, which is the spider demon man that we meet in the book,
Mhm.
could not get to him. Tal was the only one who could get in. We learn that Taladeus tells Fisher what the outside world is like and what it's been like over the years. So he tells him what the colors are and the weathers and the seasons and the events, right? But he can only say so much of what's happening because he is under Malcolm's control and oath as well, right? So Tal tries to tell him about Renfist, but is quickly shut down by Fisher because Fisher does not want to hear the name Renfist, Lorith, Everlane, Danya, or Telena. And I thought it was interesting that he put Telena in there because we really don't know how close him and Telena are. We know that she's there. We know she's a healer and that he sees her quite a few
Right.
times. But for that to be a name that comes up, I thought that was very interesting, right?
I also was surprised by that, but maybe that there's more to come on that. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Yeah. So
But I
I was
did
like, oh,
think the
that's
same thing.
like she's not a part of the pack. Like she's like the healer that's there. So yeah, I'm interested to see where that line goes later on
But
in the books.
I guess at this point in his life, she has spent so much time with him. Like,
True. Like
stabilizing him.
healing him. Yeah,
So,
and stabilizing him for sure.
for
Yeah,
sure.
I thought I was like, well, that's interesting. Like I expected like Archer or like
Yeah.
somebody like that, or like maybe some of the Lupoprolia that did not die in that battle of
Yeah.
the gate, right? But none of them are mentioned.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was a fun little snippet there. So Tal tells Fisher that Belicon is sending his troops to the west, possibly to invade Galaria and the Mountain Fae for their gold, but the mud is too bad to go on foot when the snow is melting. Tal cannot tell him exactly what is happening, but he can force Fisher to use his problem-solving skills to guess what's happening without breaking his oath. He said this is an interesting perspective of the friendship they have. He makes them use his mind when he visits him because he knows that he will lose his mind if he doesn't, right? Because he's all alone. But if he breaks his oath, like if Tal breaks the oath, there is a literal fire in his throat, like smoke comes out. So, which is another way that like each Fae has a different reaction or different consequence for breaking the oath. Like
Yeah.
Fisher has a noose around his neck, Tal has fire in his throat.
Mhm.
So Fisher also notes that Belicon would be stupid to send his troops over through the Wicker Woods because the souls in the woods wouldn't notice a Fae or two, but they would notice an entire army. If they were noticed, the ones from the Wicker Wood, which we know are like the worst of the worst souls, would jump into the bodies of the soldiers. And I don't know if you remember our first episode that you and I did together where I accidentally spoiled some things for
Yes.
you, like way back in the
Yeah.
day. I reinstate my question. Do you think that those three, the Belicon Madra and Malcolm, are dead? And also, do you think that they are in the Wicker Woods if they are the worst souls?
I don't know. Maybe Belicon and Madra, but do you think Malcolm do you think that's a possibility for Malcolm? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I mean, I think that I think he has a soul, right? Like he has the curse, but I don't think the curse made you soulless
I don't know.
because Tal is also technically under that curse, right? And Tal has a soul.
Yeah. But is it one of those once you die, then your soul ceases to exist? Like, do you have an afterlife?
Hmm.
I don't know.
That's an interesting thought. I'd like, I think that again, that as I had said previously in other episodes, is that I think Kingfisher and Carrion are going to have to go back through the Wicker Woods when they're going back to Zalvarin, and I'm interested to
Mhm.
see who they will see there.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
He also says that Belicon would never sacrifice that many men unless he absolutely had to. He says he heads east so that he can turn his men to the north after he's sending them through the frozen wastes. Tal replies with a sparkle in his eye and why would he do that? There really isn't much up there. Right. And so again, so Tal can't tell him like outright and know what he's doing, even though he does know what Belicon is up to entirely. So Kingfisher ponders the settlements and townsfolk, but none of them have any matter to Belicon. He then remembers the breach, and then the bow quitter lands on the side of it. I have no idea what the breach or the bow quitter is. This is like the only time we hear of it. So I don't have any further descriptions on this
Mhm.
land or what's happening of it. But he says, I wonder what Belicon might want from the witches, he mused. The Bowquitter clan hates everybody. It's true, but they hate Belicon the most. And he goes, I wonder what, and before he could finish wonder, he coughed, his breath catching in his throat, and his face began to redden, right? Because he was like getting too close to the truth. Witches in book 2. Witches,
Witches,
dragon,
pirates,
pirates. Is
dragons.
going to be a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah,
Mean, mad witches.
I think there's a lot to this universe that we just haven't even gotten to yet. Like we're
Mhm.
just at the surface of
Yes.
all these beings and all the things that they can do and
Mhm. Agreed.
how they're all
Oh, it's
gonna
gonna be
play into
amazing.
it. Yeah.
Witches. I can't wait. So Tal obviously changes the subject because he's went a little too close to the line of what he can say, and he mentions another name we've never heard before, Zovina. So Zovina is the reason that Tal is among the ranks of the Black Palace's high blood population, which is and he's basically like one of Malcolm's princes, right? And the reason that things were always so tense between the two males, between Fisher and Tal. And Zovina is the prime amongst them. We don't hear much more about this character. They move on it from it like super quickly. We learn Malcolm sends Tal down to Kingfisher every once in a while to torture him because he knows that it hurts them both. Today, it was specifically to make him bleed, was the quote. But we know that the devil is in the details in this entire book, right? That's the quote of the book itself, right? So
Yeah.
Fisher thinks that he's about to take out a blade, but he takes out a little pin and Fisher lays out a finger and he pokes the finger and a little droplet of blood goes down to the ground and the maze is paid what it's owed. The tax is taken, right? What were your thoughts on that?
I liked this. Like, I think it shows like the relationship and friendship they do have, and it's nice, friendship used
Mhm.
way looser than like him and Ren or anything. But
Right.
um, it gives you some context into how he could have survived that long in that
Mhm.
setting. Because when you
Yeah.
read about it in the book, you're like, how was he just counting the same coins and not, or looking at the same coins and not
Mhm.
eating or sleeping or having any like semblance of time or any of this
Right.
for so long? And
Mhm.
it gives some perspective into how that happened for him.
Yeah.
And I especially liked that it was like mentioning how Tal got around the rules, whether it be like making him bleed or like bringing a bottle of wine
Mhm.
or, you know, finding ways to keep him from going crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And even though there is like some tension between the two males, like he still was there for him for
Yep.
all those years because
Yep.
he's also struggling in his own life as well. And then there is some chapters coming up. There is one literally named Talladega. So we will be going through that a little bit further down. And we do know that Tal becomes a big part of the end of the series, obviously, because
Mhm.
he was the one who helped Saris in the end. So we will dive into his character a little bit further as well down the line. But no, I thought that was interesting. And also was crazy that he was like, I couldn't eat, like sleep, or drink water the entire time he was there.
Mhm.
So then for him to then tell Saris, who is worried about something as stupid as a glass of water, right, at dinner, "Bro, you went a long time without water." But he
Yeah.
maybe because of the magic, did he even feel the effects?
I think he always probably felt a little hungry and thirsty, but I mean, obviously, it wasn't gonna kill him.
Mhm. So maybe he was
But
like, "So stupid."
I think part of that torture is that he could never turn off his brain. He could never sleep. He could never eat. He could never
Right.
rest.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I was like, "That's a long time." And Saris has no idea that he went without food and water and all of these things for that long. But yes, he
Right.
did have the occasional bottle of wine that Tal would bring him, thankfully, because again, the devil's in the details, and Malcolm never said he couldn't bring him wine.
Yeah.
So Tal leaves, and all of a sudden, the coins start shaking. Everything is shaking, and Fisher feels what is to be a god sword. He is in immediate agony. He falls over, and he felt as if he was being pulled by something or towards something, right? A 15-foot chasm opens up in the ground right next to Fisher, and we hear the Quicksilver say, "He sees us, he hears us, he sees us, he hears us." And he says, "I had heard it chanting to me like this before a long, long time ago, and the Quicksilver didn't whisper to the dead." Okay. Is is it the Quicksilver in the pool talking to him, saying, "We see him, we hear him"? Or is his Quicksilver saying that they hear his dad on the other side? Because it says the Quicksilver doesn't talk to the dead. Fisher knows he's not dead. Like, what was this?
I don't know. That's a good point. Um, but he doesn't know exactly where it's coming from at this point. So I don't feel like it would have been like Fisher being like, "Oh, is that my dad?"
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. It goes, and he says that it goes where like he wants it to go, right? But the
Yeah,
pools have been closed since his dad left.
that's true.
So uh, is it his dad's? I mean, his dad's sword was the one
That
that
awakened it.
opened it, right? It
Right.
was awakened by it. So that's why and he's like, it doesn't talk to the dead. So I don't know. It's
Yeah, I don't
interesting.
know either.
I read that line
Yeah.
a couple times and I was like, what does this mean? What does it mean?
Yeah.
Who is he? Who is hearing them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening there, right? So Fisher gets up, he grabs his sword, and Tal had the power to stop him, but was never commanded to do so. So because Malcolm never expected a chasm to open up in the ground, right? So Tal's like, good luck, like goodbye. Have
Mhm.
like, good luck. So he's falling into the pool, and the Quicksilver there does try to enter his body, but is surprised to find that some is already there. And it says he is us at sea. We are him. So, with a relic around his neck helping and the original silver that is still in his body, he's able to fight it off, right? He comes out the other side and he feels his god sword. He feels Morel, like Nimrel, right? For the
Mhm.
first time in over 100 years. So, Morel's been just chilling in there for a long time, right? He
Yeah.
then sees a girl on the ground with black hair. We know that's Saris, right? And right before he was about to cut off her head, he sees that she is holding Solace, which is the sword, the god sword that his dad had. He rolls her over and immediately recognizes her because he's seen her face so many times. His mother drew her in her notebooks and told him what she would mean to him one day. However, her ears were rounded, and that's not what his mother pictured. So, packaging away these emotions in his brain like a little filing cabinet, Fisher decides that her dying is very unfortunate and is like, just, I need to go find Madra. Like, she's the one who did all of these things. Like, she's the problem. I need to go kill her, right? But we also learn in this moment more again about his father and Carrion because in this moment, this is where it said, my father had been sent to Zelvarin to hide the Dianthus heir amongst the humans. That line's going to come back around.
I agree
And I
with
think
that. I do think it's crazy that he sees Saris, recognizes her face, does recognize that she's not Fae, and then he's like, eh, like,
that's why
that's
I imagined it
unfortunate.
like a little filing cabinet. Like he like shoved it into a folder, shoved it into his brain, and was like, moving on. Right?
Yeah.
He's like, well, she's gonna die anyways. Right.
Yeah.
But and also the feelings that he's feeling as of this moment are to the God sword, right?
Mhm.
Or are they? Because so as we're going through, you'll know that the feeling that he is feeling is not to the sword, and he does realize that. But right now,
Mhm.
he's like, I don't feel anything towards this person that's supposedly my mate, says my mom, who died a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
So he sees Heron, which we haven't heard of in a long time since the beginning of the chapters, which is Madra's guard that arrested Saris. Heron speaks of the obsidian, which as he did in chapter 4, but we finally hear Fisher's thoughts on the obsidian. It says, I had been about to kill him, but his words caught me off guard. Moving passages in the ground made out of obsidian. Was he talking about the maze? How could he possibly know about that? So again, I think obsidian's going to be like a thing. I don't know why. I
Mhm.
don't know how it's going to work, but I think it's going to be a thing in book 2 because it's mentioned quite a few times, right? Just like the brimstone.
Yeah.
So the Quicksilver then quickly envelops him, and Fisher thought about killing him, but then couldn't bring himself to do it and knocked him out instead, which I also thought was interesting and not like. What did you think of that? Like he could have had the moment to kill somebody and he didn't do it.
I
I
don't
mean, the
know. I kind of
Quicksilver did the work.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just because he was so thrown off by that.
Hmm.
Like, had that moment not happened, had he not brought that up, I think he would have just killed him.
Yeah,
And
fair.
I don't know if it was just like he was thrown off and then he was like, eh, like that's done
Hmm.
anyway. Um, or is
He's
he
also been
still thrown
chilling.
off because he just saw Saris's face? Like
Yeah.
this face that he had seen throughout his entire life.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, true. He also like has been chilling for a long time, so he might
Right.
be a
Like
little
this is his
rusty.
yeah, it's his first time outside of
Hmm.
the maze in over 100 years.
Yeah, which is
So
interesting. And
yeah,
he also assumed that the silver would kill him because it literally is going inside his ear.
right. Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, but we know that it doesn't, because obviously Heron shows up at the end of Quicksilver itself. So how
Mhm.
he survived that is wild.
Yeah.
So I'm looking more into that. So we'll have more answers on how he survived that later on in further episodes. But so as he was leaving, he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go find Madra. Like, that dude's gone. It's fine. Little Chicky's gone." So he felt the pull of the god sword was fleeting by the second, and he's like, "Hold on, like the sword is still pretty close to me, so I don't know why I'm like having this feeling, right?" So he says, "As light and delicate as an O'Shayla's wings fluttering inside my chest." So it was not the god sword that he was feeling, but it was actually Ceres. She was dying and he could feel it. So he moved his feet before his brain could even allow it and was headed right back for her. Right. And another full circle moment. As Fisher is standing over her body, he says, "Pathetic, absolutely pathetic." Right. But from the other side, he says, there weren't words to describe how crazy this was. I was being pathetic. I should have gone
Mhm.
and taken my revenge, and yet here I was giving into the fluttering of a butterfly's wings in my chest.
Yeah.
And right before he jumps into the silver with Ceres in his arms, headed for another enemy territory, he says a final thought. "You had better pull through this, O'Shaleth," I told her. "For better or worse, I get the feeling that you're about to turn everything upside down." The end. These are my bonus chapters. Ooh, I love them.
I loved that he was like, "This is crazy. Like, this is so stupid."
Mhm.
Like, he's not even understanding yet. So,
Correct. Yeah.
it's
Well, and
cool.
in the book, when you're reading it, it sounds like he's calling her pathetic
It
for
does, yeah.
dying. And you're like,
Yep,
"Oh my God." But
right.
really, it's flipped around and he's like, "I'm pathetic. I'm
Yeah.
ridiculous."
He's like, "I'm missing an opportunity here to do s and
Mhm.
I don't even know why I'm doing this."
Right, exactly. Like his body's just reacting and his mind is like, "What's happening?"
Yeah.
So many full circle moments, so many things that we finally have answers to. Many hearts were broken, many new questions that I
Yeah.
now need answers to. So July 1st, the bonus episodes come out on Audible where you're streaming. And again, Anthony Palmini and Stella Bloom are narrating this as they did for Quicksilver and as they're doing for Brimstone. And as a very special Goodish Girls first, we actually have an interview with Anthony Palmini. So we're going to ask him all of the questions. So if there's anything you guys want to know or learn about, or you've ever wanted to ask him, put it in the comments, message us, let us know, and we'll add it to the list to talk to him, because I know I have a ton of questions. Maybe we'll get a little snippet of that dragon voice. I don't know. If you like this episode, like and subscribe to our podcast. We put out new episodes every week. And again, we are the Goodish Girls. Share it with your bookish friends. We have big things coming.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Can't get enough of the Goodish Girls? Follow us on social media for sneak peeks at our upcoming episodes and bonus content.